I am the real daughter of a wealthy family who was swapped and sent to the countryside for 16 years. When I was brought back home, the fake daughter looked extremely pitiful. Mom, please don't abandon me, okay? My father and elder brother looked at her with pity, and my mother was so touched that she hugged her tightly. Don't worry, you'll always be Mom's good daughter. But in fact, she cast a provocative glance at me while in my biological mother's arms. Not only that, but she also incited her childhood sweetheart to isolate and bully me at school together. But I'm really sorry, I'm a natural troublemaker, you know. My dear sister, are you ready to step into this game? When my biological parents found me, I was feeding pigs in a pigsty. I was all dirty, my hair was messy, I was pitifully thin, and there were scars all over my exposed body. Under the scorching sun, the woman dressed in elegant and luxurious clothes suddenly covered her mouth. Child, how could you be in such a place? As she spoke, the woman shed tears out of compassion. I looked at these two strangers with a confused expression. Excuse me, who are you? The man beside her, wearing an expensive suit, frowned slightly without showing it clearly as he looked at my cheap and tattered clothes. You may not know us. We are your biological parents. Biological parents. I was so shocked that my eyes widened slightly. What do you mean? Sitting in a luxurious car that I had never been in before, the gentle-looking woman beside me was chattering about my life story. It turned out that I'm not called Sarah William, I should be called Bella Smith, and I'm a child from a prestigious family in City A. I shouldn't be feeding pigs in the countryside, but instead, I should be going to the best elite high school in City A. However, 16 years ago, due to the hospital's negligence, I was swapped with a child from the William family in the countryside. It wasn't until the school physical examination that the Smith family realized that the child wasn't their biological daughter. Remembering how the couple of the William family used to beat, scold, and ignore me in the past, and then looking at the woman beside me with tears glistening in her eyes, a feeling of yearning for my parents welled up in my heart. So, you're my mother, then? I asked in a low voice with some unease. Then, what about the one at home? What will happen to her? My mother clearly hesitated for a moment. Dear, you need to know that we've also raised her for a long time, and the environment here is so poor. We've already talked to the couple of the William family. After all, they still have a biological son, and they're willing to let us continue raising your elder sister. You'll know how nice she is when you meet her. You'll definitely be able to become good friends with her. I lowered my head and didn't say a word about this decision. Really, it's exactly the decision I expected. After being brought back, I stood in the magnificent house, feeling nervous and uneasy. Standing on the stairs were my biological elder brother and the adopted daughter my mother had mentioned. They were dressed in luxurious clothes, exuding an air of nobility, and they seemed like people from a different world compared to me. Their adopted daughter, oh no, Bella Smith, ran over excitedly when she saw my mother. She looked extremely pitiful, like a white lotus emerging from the water. Mom, please don't abandon me, okay? My father and elder brother looked at her with pity, and my mother was so touched that she hugged her tightly. Don't worry, you'll always be Mom's good daughter. My elder brother Sam echoed beside them. Yes, Bella, don't be afraid. You've been in this family for 16 years. Who says you're not a child of the Smith family? As he spoke, he cast a wary glance at me. Looking at them like this, what a harmonious and happy family they seem to be. If I were an ordinary 16-year-old girl who had just come from the countryside, I might be sad and heartbroken because of the neglect from my parents and elder brother at this moment. Unfortunately, I'm not. Perhaps because I remained silent for a long time. Bella Smith seemed to notice me only then. Is this my elder sister? Hello, elder sister, I said timidly to Bella Smith. Hello, younger sister. Bella Smith looked at me in surprise, as if she were really a kind younger sister who cared about her elder sister. Elder sister, do you know, before you came, I specifically asked the butler to tidy up my room for you to live in. My mother immediately felt a bit guilty towards Bella Smith. Bella, then where will you live? Bella Smith smiled understandingly and reached out to shake my mother's arm coquettishly. Mom, I'm fine. I'll just live in the guest room on the second floor. After all, elder sister has suffered so much. As soon as these words were spoken, even my father, who was always serious, couldn't help but show an approving look towards Bella Smith. My elder brother hummed at me in dissatisfaction, expressing his discontent with me, the outsider. No one saw that Bella Smith gave me a provocative and malicious smile. I quietly watched her and everything around me. This is really interesting. Bella Smith's original room was the best in the whole villa, since she offered it herself. I had no reason to refuse. Under the disdainful and hostile gazes of the butler and servants, I opened the door. Sure enough, the clothes in the wardrobe, regardless of style or size, were all the ones Bella Smith liked. In this family, from the servants to the family members, everyone was full of dissatisfaction with me. At the dinner table in the evening, because it was the first time I had seen these expensive foods and tableware, I made a lot of blunders. Seeing me using the fork like chopsticks, my father frowned so tightly that a mosquito could be crushed between his eyebrows. Sarah, you should learn some manners from your younger sister in the future. My mother also kept nodding in agreement and mentioned another decision. Hey, since you're a member of the Smith family now, Sarah, we've also transferred you to a new school. You'll study at School A. They should have already inquired from the village of the William family in advance. The parents of the William family gave birth to a son a few years after they had me. Since then, they have doted on that son like a precious pearl. After that, I was left in my hometown with my grandmother who held the idea of favoring sons over daughters, and they took their son to work in the city. My grandmother of the William family always beat, scolded, and insulted me at every turn. If it weren't for the fact that the 9-year compulsory education couldn't be interrupted, I might not even have been able to finish junior high school. Fortunately, she became paralyzed later, so she tortured me a lot less. Bella Smith seemed to be worried about me, but she was actually trying to plant thorns in my side. Oh dear, since elder sister has been studying in the countryside for such a long time, will she be able to keep up? After hearing this, I put down my chopsticks, sobbed twice, and looked like a frightened little white rabbit. I will work hard. I won't let mom and dad lose face. When my mother saw me like this, she felt sorry for me and kept comforting me. Do you think only you can act innocent? Don't I know how to do it? Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Bella Smith's somewhat gnashing teeth expression. The next day, I came to the dining table wearing my school uniform, but I didn't see my elder brother and Bella Smith. The servant beside me explained, just now, the young master and the second young lady said they had something to do, so they left first. They asked you to take another car later. Oh ho, what a good plan. Even though the Smith family has announced to the public that Bella Smith and I are twins. And it was just due to negligence that I was lost in the countryside for many years. But if I don't go to school in the same car as the young master of the Smith family, then, how will those young ladies and gentlemen on campus think about this matter? However, I didn't resist at all and quietly accepted this decision. Sure enough, when I got out of the car, I could clearly feel the pointing gazes and whispers of the surrounding students towards me. I ignored those gazes and went straight to class 10, which was the worst class in the whole grade. All kinds of people with different backgrounds in the school were gathered in this class. When the head teacher of the morning class introduced me to the classmates, a boy below jokingly shouted out, "Hey, isn't this the young lady of the Smith family who was just found?" A voice of moderate volume picked up the words, "Is this the daughter of that mistress?" Then, the whole class burst into laughter at me, and all kinds of mocking voices whispered below, "It's her, she's so ugly, does she even deserve to be compared with Bella?" That's right, her childhood sweetheart is. The malice of teenagers can sometimes be so straightforward, although I expected that Bella would do something. Facing so much malice for the first time still made my face turn slightly pale. The head teacher was also at a loss and could only ask me to return to my seat first. As soon as I sat down, the chair was kicked hard by someone. "Who do you think you are? You're blocking my view." I turned around and saw a boy with delicate features sitting behind me, looking at his arrogant face. Oh, I know who he is. He's Bella's childhood sweetheart and also her admirer, the young master of the James family, David. If the Smith family is one of the top old prestigious families in City A, the James family is even more powerful. Moreover, David has always been extremely doted on in the James family, which has formed his overbearing character of fearing nothing in the world. I didn't waste any more words. I directly lifted my leg and kicked. David didn't expect my move and, without any defense, the desk was kicked askew by me. He stood up angrily. Do you know who I am?" I raised my eyebrows. "What does it have to do with me? Could it be that you're my son?" It was so quiet around that you could hear a pin drop. David was stunned by my words. I bent down and lifted his chin with 2 fingers, deliberately choosing a good angle so that the sunlight just shone on half of my face. David was stunned. His white face gradually turned red, and his eyes were darting around. I sneered, let go of my hand, and turned around to sit down. "Humph, this is just the appetizer." In class, I listened carefully and took notes. I'm not a particularly smart student, so I can only spend more time on my studies, fortunately. From what I've learned before, Bella Smith isn't a particularly smart person either. Her grades are generally in the middle of the grade. Bella Smith came to our class during the break of the next class. She rushed straight towards David like a butterfly. David, shall we, after school today? When she saw me, she shrank back as if she was very afraid of me. Many people in the whole class immediately glared at me. She really lives up to the title of the campus goddess, who is beautiful and kind-hearted. David stroked her hair and comforted her meaningfully. Don't worry, with me here, I won't let anyone make you feel wronged. Bella Smith is truly a master of the art of manipulation. With just a few words, she made David charge into battle for her. I turned around and continued to do my homework quietly. David was so angry at my indifference that his face turned red and his neck thickened. The first step in developing a crush on someone is often to pay a lot of attention to that person. If, Bella Smith, your childhood sweetheart stands on my side, what will your reaction be? Although Sam goes to the same high school as me, he never takes the initiative to come to me. He only walks to and from school with Bella Smith every day. I don't care about this either. Every day after I get home, I attend the various etiquette courses arranged for me by the Smith family. I go all out in learning each skill. Regarding the loving mother and filial daughter scenes that Bella Smith stages in front of me every day, I just stay silent and then secretly shed tears. My mother will gradually turn her attention to me, but every time, Bella Smith's perfectly timed coquetry diverts her gaze. However, hard work will pay off. The dance teacher who instructs me praises me vigorously in front of my parents. For the first time, there is a trace of softness in my father's gaze towards me. Very good, I knew it. You're indeed my daughter. Bella Smith's face turns pale, and she tightly clenches her whole hand. Seeing this, Sam shouts with some dissatisfaction, Dad, isn't Bella good at dancing? The topic is quickly diverted. After all these days, looking at their harmonious and happy appearance, I still feel like an outsider in this family, out of place. I finish my dinner calmly and make an excuse to go out for a walk. When I return to my room, I look at the strand of hair that has disappeared through the crack of the door, and my heart stirs. I search my room carefully. Sure enough, I find some small thumbtacks in the shoes I usually wear. Doesn't Bella Smith think that there is no surveillance on the second floor and that no one will find out what she has done? I lower my head and think for a while. Then I deliberately press my left hand on a thumbtack, creating a wound. After that, I cry and go to find my mother. My mother looks surprised when she sees me like this. Sarah, what's wrong with you? I lower my head and pretend to be dejected. Mom, I wanted to change the insole of my shoes, but I found that there were thumbtacks in the shoes. They pricked my hand. My mother looks shocked. How could there be thumbtacks in your shoes? I wipe my tears and don't say anything. My mother gets anxious and keeps asking me. I believe that Bella Smith has already taken care of the aftermath, and the servant definitely won't identify her. But would she expect that I had already placed a video recorder in my room? Under my mother's repeated questioning, I reluctantly say that because I like machinery, I placed a video recorder in my room. After my mother sees the video of Bella Smith sneaking into the room and placing the thumbtacks, she looks extremely shocked, maybe in her heart. It's beyond her expectation that the child she has raised since childhood would do such a thing. My mother immediately calls Bella Smith and Sam over. As soon as Bella Smith hears the beginning, tears stream down her face. Mom, you can ask the servant. I went back right after dinner today. How could I do such a thing? Could it be that elder sister? My mother angrily turns on the video recorder. Bella Smith looks at the video and stands there dumbfounded. Then she quickly reacts and immediately kneels down. Mom, I didn't do it on purpose. Today, I heard that my younger sister danced well. I was scared. Mom, please forgive me. Amidst Bella Smith's sobs, Sam's expression also changes from surprise at the beginning to pity, and he can't help but excuse Bella Smith. Mom, Bella didn't do it on purpose either. Sure enough, my soft-hearted mother hesitates and looks at me again. Sarah, look, your sister has learned her lesson. Why don't you forgive her this time? It's just favoritism. Why come up with so many reasons? I sneer in my heart but just pretend to be in a difficult position. Okay, Mom, I believe that elder sister didn't do it on purpose either. My mother hugs me in her arms and keeps saying, good child, what a stupid and soft-hearted woman. During my time at school, I didn't have an easy time either. I experienced a lot of silent, campus violence. such as scribbling on my desk and whispering discussions about me. Although they didn't directly hit me, it's more painful, like being cut by a dull knife. But I just turn a blind eye and study, do my homework, and review quietly. Sometimes, when they go too far, I will treat them in the same way in return. For example, I look at my torn workbook, frown, and look around. Then I see a girl with a tough attitude whose eyes keep glancing in this direction. I walk straight up to her. Did you do this? The girl with a tough attitude dodges my gaze. What do you mean? Are you slandering me? I pick up the scissors I've been hiding and directly cut the workbook on her desk into several pieces. I look up and glare at her coldly. No matter what, I'm still a member of the Smith family. Think carefully. Are you sure you want to offend me? The girl with a tough attitude struggles with her expression, and finally, she doesn't say anything. What a bully who fears the strong and bullies the weak. Gradually, they probably also realize that I'm not an easy target, and they have quieted down a lot. I refuse the driver's pickup and drop off in the evening on the grounds that I want to go to the city library to read books every day. On this day, after school, I continue to walk in the usual direction alone, but when I pass by a hidden corner, I happen to encounter David, who is being beaten up by more than a dozen hooligans. David no longer has his previous arrogance. He is curled up in the corner, his face is a mixture of purple and blue, and he is panting heavily. I am wearing a white dress. I summon up my courage and shout at these more than a dozen hooligans, I'm calling the police, let him go quickly. As I speak, I also turn on the sound of the police siren on my phone. These hooligans look at each other and then run away one after another. I walk up to David against the light, squat down, and gently stroke his face with my hand. Weren't you quite imposing at school? Why are you in such a mess now? As I speak, I sigh. Who asked this young lady to have a good character? Can you still move now? David nods with his eyes slightly closed. I struggle to help him to the nearest hospital. During the physical contact, I see David's ears gradually turning red. I really miss this. It seems that I have also experienced this scene with that little fool, after being diagnosed and treated in the hospital. David looks a bit listless after applying the medicine. Why did you come to save me? Otherwise, watch you die by the roadside. I'm not that heartless, I pout, but still, I can't help but ask with concern, are you okay? Does it still hurt? Do you want to eat something? David scratches his head a bit embarrassedly. Actually, you're not so bad either. I immediately wave my hand. Don't say that. I'm quite scared when you say that. But the moment I turn around and go out, there is a glimmer of tears in the corner of my eye, and I murmur in a low voice, after all, whether it's you, or Mom, Dad, and elder brother, you all like her more. Out of the corner of my eye, I see that David's expression softens. Next, David forcefully adds me as a friend on the grounds that he wants to pay me back for the medical expenses, and the relationship between me and him also starts to thaw, different from the way we never talked before. I gradually start to ask him some math questions. He will answer my questions while being impatient and add a sentence, "You're so stupid." I will also occasionally bring him some breakfast in the morning. Every time I just throw it to him and pretend to be disdainful. "Humph, I just don't want to owe you. I'm just bringing you some breakfast." David often smiles and eats the breakfast. On WeChat, I also chat with David every day, from just a few words at the beginning. The number of words gradually increases. Gradually, I open up my heart to him. Sometimes, I also reveal in my words that I lack love and long for the love of my parents but don't know how to express it. The various difficulties and obstacles towards me are getting fewer and fewer. My days at school are getting better and better. Before long, I feel that the number of times Bella Smith comes to our class has significantly increased. Every time she comes, I immediately turn my head and don't say another word to David. I can often feel David's gaze towards me from time to time. Moreover, every day when Bella Smith comes to find him, I will deliberately snub him. After doing this several times, I clearly feel that David is getting more and more irritable. It's not enough. I need to add more fuel to the fire. As a girl who has been doted on for more than 10 years, Bella Smith, how could you understand? From my investigation, David's parents and the James family are always busy traveling all over the world, so David is often left alone at home. There is always a child who never grows up living in his heart, so it's not just the childhood sweetheart or the neighbor girl who needs to be cared for that he will like the Sandra girl character who is tough on the outside but soft on the inside even more. Soon, the final exam arrives. This exam is for ranking the whole grade. and all the rankings will be posted on the honor roll. Every time my mother asked me about my grades before, I just said, it's okay, to fudge it. She may think that my grades are very poor, so she didn't ask any more questions. At the same time, in various class quizzes, I also try my best to suppress my grades and maintain a mediocre level. After the exam, Bella Smith specially comes up to me with a smile, elder sister. This exam was a bit difficult. I wonder how you did. The corner of my mouth curls into a sneer. We'll know when the grades come out. When I turn around, I can still hear Bella Smith's female friend beside her whispering, what's she so proud of? She's just a country bumpkin. How much does she think she can score? I ignore them. After the intense exam, on the next Monday, many students gather in front of the list and discuss. Bella Smith looks complacent beside me. You'll probably have to start looking from the bottom, elder sister. I ignore her and directly start looking from the front. When I see that my name is ranked first, I calmly turn my head. Do you want to see who the first place is? Really, it lives up to my efforts. Bella Smith's face turns green. She stares at the list fiercely, as if she wants to see something special from it. Her tone is also a bit unsteady. How is it possible? The lackeys beside her also look at me up and down in surprise. Feeling the exclamations and incredulous gazes of the people around me, I smile and walk towards David. Thank you for your tutoring. David looks at me with a complicated expression. Your grades are so good. Why do you still ask me questions every day? I lean closer to him and gently brush my hand over his shoulder. Then why do you think I ask you questions every day, David? At school, I don't know when it started. But rumors about me cheating began to spread. When I got home, my mother also had a complicated expression on her face, looking hesitant to speak. Sarah, I heard that you cheated to get the first place in the exam at school. I took a couple of bites of my meal and put on a wronged look. Mom, if other people don't believe me, don't you believe me either? My mother was momentarily at a loss for words. But Sam didn't want to let me off the hook. He was uncharacteristically stern. You have to think carefully. The Smith family can't tolerate liars. With tears in my eyes, I bit my lip firmly and stubbornly raised my head. I understand. I'll go to the teacher tomorrow to prove my innocence. Sister, don't act impulsively and do something you'll regret. Although Bella Smith said this, the schadenfreude in her eyes was almost palpable. I guess she also doesn't believe that I could have achieved this score on my own. I put down the bowl angrily and went straight back to my room. These are my so-called relatives. The next day, when I arrived at school, I went directly to the head teacher and firmly expressed my thoughts. Teacher, you've also heard the rumors that I cheated, right? I got this score on my own, and I won't accept any slander. I'm willing to be tested by you. The head teacher was originally half-doubting me, but she nodded in agreement upon hearing this. She called in other subject teachers and planned to give me a new set of exam papers. Then, I would take the exam again under the individual supervision of each teacher. What I've learned through my own hard work could naturally stand the test. After the subject teachers finished grading, they looked at me with admiration in their eyes and couldn't stop praising my grades. The school's investigation notice regarding this matter was quickly released. The notice posted on the bulletin board undoubtedly slapped many people in the face. That day, when I got home and felt the unusual quiet atmosphere, I said to my mother, Mom, do you know what happened at school? My mother smiled awkwardly and glanced at Bella Smith from time to time. I know, Sarah, congratulations on getting the first place in the grade. Sam also fell silent, avoiding my gaze. Bella Smith almost buried her face in the bowl, due to the previous incidents. Bella Smith's treatment at home was much worse than before. One morning, Sam asked me hesitantly, Sarah, would you like to go to school with your brother? I pretended not to see Bella Smith's face instantly turned gloomy and smiled. Sure, brother, this family is really interesting. However, in order to ultimately achieve my goal, it's not impossible to pretend to be a loving family. Soon, the school's annual evening party arrived. Each class had to present a performance. During this period, Bella Smith became very quiet. She stopped causing trouble for me at home and just persistently went to find David. However, David grew cold towards Bella Smith, because during this time, I also adopted the same attitude towards David and was very cold to him. Regarding my erratic attitude, I could feel David's confusion. It won't be long now. The fish is almost hooked. I secretly found David in private, lowered my head, and pretended to be embarrassed. David, actually, I want to ask you if you would like to perform a duet dance with me at the school anniversary evening party. David's face visibly brightened. Sure, I can. However, I have a request. I grabbed the corner of David's clothes and looked at him from the most pitiful angle. Bella Smith seems to have some opinions about me, and I don't want to cause any trouble at home. Can you keep it a secret from her that you're going to dance with me? And we can rehearse in private, okay? Facing my softened attitude over the past few days, David immediately nodded repeatedly. After I submitted the program, I dragged David to practice the dance over and over again in a secluded corner of the campus. Amidst the swaying shadows of the trees, David held my waist and looked at me with full concentration in his eyes. I blushed shyly and leaned against his arm as if I had no strength in my body. I could clearly feel the stiffness of his muscles, under the moonlight. Our shadows seemed to overlap. How can I make someone else's dog work for me, beat him, and then give him a bone at a crucial moment, making him grateful to you, be harsh to everyone else, but only show your unique tenderness towards you, show your specialness to you, tease you, be elusive, make you feel your heart flutter, but don't give you a definite answer. If you ask, it's, aren't we the best of friends, or, do you think I treat everyone like this? Give him hope and let him continue to indulge in this false tenderness. The so-called, a hero saves the beauty. How can there be so many coincidences in this world? It's just the calculations of someone with ulterior motives. The day of the evening party arrived. The Smith family and the James family, both of which are among the school's shareholders, would be seated in the front row. Bella Smith naturally knew this. I also knew that she was rehearsing a solo dance. I had never relaxed my surveillance of her. Sure enough, when I was changing my clothes, I saw her sneaking towards a quiet corner of the stairs. I quietly followed her and saw someone who was unexpected yet reasonable. It was the haggard-looking Father Wong and Mother Wong. They were wearing cheap clothes and were pestering Bella Smith at the moment. It was us who swapped the children, which gave you your current good life. You want to abandon us? No way. Bella Smith disdainfully pushed their hands away. Don't forget, if I'm no longer in the Smith family, who will give you money, and you're so useless, you couldn't even keep an eye on a little girl. Then, the couple from the William family revealed even more explosive news. How can you talk like that? I told you about your true identity when you were 14. It was you yourself, looking at the woman in front of me. I remembered those early childhood days, since I could remember. I had to do a lot of housework. As long as I said a single wrong word or did a single thing wrong, I would get a slap. My body was always covered in bruises. The neighbors' children called me a waste of money and a slut and threw stones at me. I was so angry that I fought with them, but in the end, I would get scolded by Mother Wong. She would say that I was unruly and didn't care at all about what I had gone through outside. When I was 5 years old, they had a son. And I was treated worse than a pig or a dog by them. The couple from the William family thought I was a nuisance and directly threw me to my grandmother in the countryside, who favored sons over daughters. In the village, I ate the least and did the most work. I had to fetch water and feed the pigs before dawn every day, even for primary school. It was only after the primary school teacher persuaded them several times that I was allowed to go. After finally persuading the couple from the William family, Bella Smith was still muttering on the way back. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. You bastard. Oh Yang Yuan, if you hadn't been found, I wouldn't have ended up like this. I silently recorded everything with my phone. David changed his clothes and came over only at the last moment as I had instructed. I saw that in David's eyes as he looked at me dressed up in all my finery. There was a light of admiration and surprise. At first, I was thin and small, but after a semester of being taken care of, I had regained the good looks I inherited from my parents. The moment David stood beside me, Bella Smith's face twisted with jealousy. But what's the use? It's me who's holding his hand. The duet dance between David and me was a great success, overshadowing Bella Smith's performance that came later. The lights in the auditorium shone on us, and to outsiders, we really looked like a perfect couple. Listening to the warm applause from the audience, I bowed gracefully. Bella Smith watched all this fiercely from the corner, looking like a clown. I walked off the stage, and for the first time, my father looked at me with pride. Not bad, Sarah, you know. Just now, many people were asking who you were. My mother and brother also praised me one after another. Bella Smith beside us seemed to be completely ignored. This is just the beginning. Before they could finish their praises, a video suddenly played on the large screen on the stage. How dare you come to me? A huge commotion immediately broke out in the auditorium. That's right. This video was a gift I specially sneaked backstage to give to my good sister. This is the reason why I've been waiting until now to reveal my true identity in front of everyone at school. The higher you're lifted up, the harder you'll fall. The gazes of the people around made Bella Smith feel as if she had been stripped bare. She looked around with a pale face, but the surrounding classmates quickly moved away from her as if she were something dirty. The video of her meeting with her biological parents played on a loop on the screen. Now, even David cast shocked and disgusted glances at her. She knew that she couldn't stay in the Smith family anymore. She completely broke down. Bella Smith's eyes were red with rage, and she looked as if she wanted to eat me alive. She shouted and pounced towards me. I know it's you. You did this, didn't you? You have everything. I only have David left. Why, even him, you have to snatch away. I didn't resist and looked pitiful. Sister, what are you talking about? David immediately pulled me into his arms. Bella Smith, you're really becoming more and more unreasonable. Looking at Bella Smith, who was somewhat hysterical on the other side, I slowly showed her a malicious smile. The same smile that Bella Smith had shown me at the beginning. I mouthed silently, go to hell. Realizing that he had lost a great deal of face, my father didn't watch the remaining programs. He took us and rushed home. Looking at Bella Smith, who was crying uncontrollably and acting like a madwoman, my father showed the dignity of the head of the family and sternly rebuked. I didn't expect you to have known the truth for a long time. You really have a heart of a viper. We were wrong. Go back to where you came from. Sam couldn't bear to look and turned his eyes away. My mother wanted to say something, but after all, she was just a weak woman. She shut her mouth when my father glared at her. I know that my biological father values interests extremely highly. To say that he has no feelings for Bella Smith at all isn't entirely true, but the main reason for keeping Bella Smith at first was because of her being David's childhood sweetheart. He hoped to form an alliance with the James family through marriage to achieve greater benefits, but now, her last bit of value was also gone. I stood upstairs, looking down indifferently as Bella Smith was dragged out of the villa like a dead dog. The first one has been dealt with. The next time I saw the parents of the William family was in a private box. They looked submissive and smiled obsequiously at me. This scene couldn't be seen by others. I directly threw out a card. This is the money for you to keep an eye on Bella Smith. Don't play any tricks on me. Think about your son. Mrs. William nodded understandingly. Don't worry, Mr. William looked at me with fear in his eyes. I know that my mother and brother don't trust Bella Smith and have secretly given her a lot of money. Does she think she can still live a life without financial worries after leaving the Smith family? In her dreams, then, David and I started dating as if it were only natural. I was no longer cold to him and treated him with extreme tenderness. He became more and more dependent on me. We became a couple that everyone at school envied. My reputation seemed to improve overnight, and the name, Bella Smith, seemed to disappear from the campus. The people who had bullied me before were all nervous when they saw me, but I didn't take any revenge on them. My mother and brother also became gentler towards me, as if the previous neglect had never happened, but I quietly dismissed one servant after another who had been disrespectful to me before. My mother and brother had no objections to this. We seemed to have become a loving family. The couple of the James family, who were extremely busy, came to meet me when I was about to reach adulthood. By then, I was no longer the former country girl in the coffee shop. I maintained an impeccable posture of etiquette and smiled at Mr. James. After asking me a few questions, Mr. James nodded in satisfaction. David nervously held my hand by my side. He was already 18 years old, and his features were beginning to take on the edges and corners of an adult. Soon, with the tacit approval of the James family and the Smith family, my coming-of-age ceremony would be held together with the engagement ceremony. I also obtained the qualification to get involved in the family business. On that day, the venue was filled with guests, and everyone was celebrating the marriage alliance between the two prominent families in City A. I wore a princess dress and walked step by step towards the young man waiting for me. My father, mother, and elder brother were standing at the other end of the red carpet, looking at all this with relief. Suddenly, the door was pushed open with a loud noise. Police here. Now there is clear evidence that the James family has committed embezzlement and tax evasion. In the end, this engagement turned into a joke. The couple of the James family were taken away in silver handcuffs at my wedding, although my father kept shouting, "Stop filming, stop filming." The journalists and media present still frantically took pictures like sharks that had smelled blood. David looked at all this in a panic. The couple of the James family were imprisoned due to multiple economic crimes with conclusive evidence and even made it to the trending topics. The huge song group collapsed overnight. I hid among the crowd, expressionless. Finally, I had been waiting for this day. affected by the James family. The stock of the Smith family plummeted. My father was overwhelmed with dealing with this matter. My mother was at a loss, and my elder brother kept comforting me. I smiled bravely. Brother, although the James family, but after all, they are David's parents. I still want to visit them in prison. My elder brother could only agree to my insistence. In prison, looking at the decadent Mr. James behind the iron bars, I couldn't help but show a satisfied smile. Hello, I'm really, ha 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 ha, so happy to see you sitting here. Facing Mr. James's puzzled gaze, I spoke slowly, word by word, as if uncovering the secrets hidden in time. Do you remember the fool that David hit and killed when he was 14 years old? Mr. James's face changed drastically. I felt it since I was very young that I had no feelings for the couple of the William family. It was just because I was too young and they were my legal guardians, so I couldn't directly break away from them. I had no choice but to do things obediently and endure their beatings and scoldings, so with a little guidance from me, they sent me back to my hometown after my younger brother was born. There was only an old person in my hometown, and it was really easy to deceive him, her, although I did things every day. I often slacked off. One late night, I deliberately spilled a lot of oil in front of my grandma's door. As expected, my grandma had a bad fall. After letting her lie in bed moaning in pain for 3 days, I called the couple of the William family with tears in my eyes. They rushed back quickly with their precious son. During the day, I obediently cooked for them. At night, I tied them up while they were unconscious from drinking the sleeping pills and coldly questioned them whether I was really their child. They thought I was young and thought I was asleep. They had whispered about swapping children. One day, that night, from their crying mouths, I learned about my true identity. I threatened them with their son and told them, just pretend to forget what happened today, and don't care about me from now on. I'll also pretend that you don't exist. If you don't listen to me, I'll kill your son. I'm not an adult yet, and my crime won't lead to the death penalty. They nodded in horror. After that, I also searched the internet for detailed information about my real family, but I had no feelings for them at all, and I had no intention of going back at all. However, I didn't expect that, out of fear, they actually contacted their good daughter. There was a fool in the village. The fool had his brain damaged by a fever when he was a child. He had the basic ability to take care of himself in daily life, but his intelligence remained at the level of a 6-year-old. The fool's parents seemed to have died in an accident. He lived a poor life relying on his parents' inheritance and the subsistence allowance. The fool liked to wander around the whole village every day. One day, when I went to fetch water and water the plants in the early morning, the fool walked up to me, holding a piece of candy in his hand and grinning. Eat, eat. I ignored him, but he chased after me, wanting to help me fetch water, water the plants, and feed the pigs. I was extremely wary of others and coldly asked him, "What on earth do you want?" He just smiled stupidly and said, "Eat, eat the candy." In the end, I still ate that piece of candy. I didn't understand why the fool always liked to hang around me. I had always only given him cold scoldings. The turning point came on that day. At that time, I was still young and was beaten until I was covered in blood by that old woman, especially severely. No one wanted to care about me. They all thought I was a wild child. Only the fool cried when he saw my injuries. Then he rummaged through all his pockets and took out some coins. "Here you are, money, money, go and treat your injuries. If you don't, you'll die." Looking at the fool's sincere face, I sighed, "I don't need it, you keep it." In the following years, I often wondered how someone could never give up on someone like me. After that, a very delicate balance was maintained between me and the fool. I tacitly allowed him to follow me and help me with things. Sometimes, I would talk to him a few words. Since I was born, I had always lived under the malice of others. I thought my life would always be like this. I didn't expect to meet someone as pure as the fool. I will always remember that day. It was the next month after I threatened the couple of the William family, and it was also my birthday. When the fool found out, he seemed very excited. "Birthday, need to eat cake." I nodded and spread my hands helplessly. Unfortunately, there's no cake in the village. I didn't take this matter to heart. After simply celebrating with the fool, I went home. That night, it was pouring with rain, and the sky was shrouded in a layer of mist. I felt a sense of unease at home. It was as if something very important was leaving me. I tossed and turned all night and couldn't wait to look for the fool at dawn, but I didn't see him in that thatched cottage. Then, one day, 2 days, the fool seemed to have completely disappeared. No one cared about his disappearance except me. I put down all the things in my hands and kept expanding the search range. Finally, in a restaurant in the town, I heard others talking. Do you know, there was a car accident on the road in front of X cake shop a few days ago. The person who was hit died a terrible death. Yes, I heard that the body was even incomplete. Who hit him? I don't know, but I heard that the car was very expensive. I don't know why such an expensive car came here. I couldn't sit still anymore. Although emotionally I wanted to deny it, my intuition told me, it was him, it was the fool. I went to the funeral parlor in a trance. After bribing various people, I asked the staff and learned the appearance and height of the person who was hit. It was really him. How could it be? He was so kind. That was the first time in my life that I felt what it was like to be in excruciating pain. Why did they do this to such a good person? Perhaps it was God's mercy. Just as I was about to walk out of the funeral parlor, I heard the conversation between a father and son in a secluded corner of the corridor. Both of them were dressed in famous brands, and there were bodyguards nearby. They clearly weren't from this town, at this time. The middle-aged man said seriously, "Do you know your mistake this time?" The teenage boy looked extremely annoyed. "I know, Dad, it's really annoying. Isn't it just hitting and killing a fool? I've already made the driver take the blame. Isn't everything solved? Why are you still scolding me?" The middle-aged man snorted coldly. "It's indeed not a big deal for you to hit and kill a fool. But isn't it a bit too hasty for you to chase after that little girl from the Smith family who had a conflict with you and ran to the countryside? Also, if you really caused trouble, you should have the ability to deal with the consequences." Then they said something else, but I couldn't hear a word. In their casual words, they had decided the fate of a fool. Human life was as insignificant as grass. I finally understood that the world was like hell. When did I completely awaken my true nature? Probably from that moment on. Yes, I'm just an ordinary person, whether it's my life or the fool's life. In the eyes of people like them, it might not mean much. However, I have a hidden identity. I immediately went to the couple of the William family and learned about their contact with Bella Smith, so I chose to let things take their course and made the couple of the William family ask for money, creating an image of contacting for money. In fact, I locked them in a dark room and tortured them for 3 days and 3 nights, knives, syringes. After that, whenever they saw me, their legs would tremble wildly, and they would feel extremely guilty. They would obey my every command and become the dogs in my plan. I planned everything step by step. Finally, at the age of 16, I let my biological parents know about me. The main culprit was David, and the accomplices were Mr. James and Bella Smith. The James family was indeed a huge entity, and ordinary people couldn't reach its core at all. But what if I became the prospective daughter-in-law of the James family? At first, I had almost no feelings for my family, but their selfishness and cold-bloodedness still shocked me. If I were just an ordinary girl, what would I do when facing these family members who didn't welcome me? If my heart wasn't cold and hard enough, would I have already been driven to depression and death by Bella Smith, the environment of campus violence? The family members who were soft-hearted and selfish but favored the adopted daughter. I'm really glad that I'm a wicked girl. The memory ended. In prison, looking at Mr. James, I wore a malicious smile on my face. I said, "Have you never seriously investigated my past?" To be honest, I've thought about it many times how to take revenge on David and you, as your prospective daughter-in-law. It was really easy to get the company's account books and such. Just losing all your wealth and going to prison isn't enough, is it? Do you know what it feels like when your heart seems to be torn out forcefully? Ah, you'll know soon. Mr. James's eyes were red, and he shouted furiously, slamming his hands on the glass. By the shape of his mouth, it seemed he was saying, "Spare my son." I had hired a detective to investigate carefully in advance. Although the James family had a large fortune and a big business, David was their only son, and there were no illegitimate children. Mr. James really loved his son. "Now, I'm going to meet my dear fiancé." In the sealed villa, David hugged me like he was holding onto a last straw. "Sarah, I only have you left. It turned out that you are my real mother." "No, no." I watched as those eyes gradually filled with despair, and big tears fell down. He grabbed his hair and crawled on the floor in a state of collapse, just like a dog. "Why, how could it be? That was just a fool." I know that over the years, I deliberately carried out PUA on him and occupied the most important position in his life. Then, when he was at his most down and out, to find that the person he loved had schemed against him and betrayed him, what would that feel like? This is what it means to kill someone and break their spirit. I know that when you committed the crime, you were just a minor and it was just illegal driving. Even if I collected the evidence and sent you to prison, so what? You might not even have to go to prison and could just stay in a juvenile detention center for a few years, but my fool, he was only 14 years old. When I found him, there was only a handful of his ashes left. I buried him in the back mountain, and I didn't even know his name. In my whole life, I only met one fool. He died trying to buy me a cake. No one remembers him, but I will always remember. David, I'm here to drag you to hell. After that, I never inquired about David's news again. I just left a letter for the Smith family and went abroad. I told them that I never wanted to be their daughter. Abroad, I started a new life. I heard that in China, Mrs. Smith and my stupid elder brother were going crazy looking for me, and my father's business wasn't going well, and the company kept shrinking. Oh yes, this was also because I leaked the company's secrets to the rival company. My soft-hearted and selfish biological elder brother, from my observation, didn't have the ability to inherit the family business at all. I wonder what my mother, who is as weak as a daughter flower, will do in this situation, but what does it have to do with me? After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.